Tone-on-tone embossing is when you emboss an image using the same color as the cardstock you're stamping on. This technique is especially dramatic when using metallic cardstocks like gold and silver. The project I'm going to show you today is a clean and simple project that's easy to mass produce and is completely flat for mailing. And that makes this project perfect for holiday cards and invitations. Let me show you the tools and products I'm going to use to make this project. First, I'm going to emboss using some Nestabilities dies. I'm also going to need a Stamp-A-Majig or some sort of stamp positioning tool. You're going to need some gold embossing powder or any color that you want to use. I'm going to use an anti-static pad to remove static and oil. I'm going to use a Versamark pad, some Memento black ink, and that's going to be to set up my stamp positioning tool, and then some rubber stamps. So let's start off by putting some embossed ovals onto this piece of cardstock, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. Now I showed you one way to use the Nestabilities dies to emboss only, and this way is just a little bit different. And I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is, and you can do two of them right at the same time. Okay, to begin, I'm going to open up my Cuttlebug, and I'm going to start with my A plate. And then I'm going to put my B plate down, and you can see my B plate is well loved, and that's okay. Then I'm going to put my mat down, my rubber mat, and then my piece of cardstock on top of it. Then I'm going to place my dies cut side down, and you can see the little blade here. I'm going to actually put it cut side down, and although you would think that that would cut through the cardstock, because I have the rubber mat underneath the cardstock, it won't allow the bottom plastic plate to press up against that blade and actually make a cut. It will just give you a nice deep embossed image, and it will give you that little ring in the center as well, which you'll see when I'm done. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating two spaces to stamp in at one time by lining up these two ovals and embossing them exactly where I want them. So there we go, they're all in position. Now I'm going to put my second B plate on top, and then I'm going to shim it with a piece of chipboard. And I'm going to run that through my Cuttlebug. Get that out of the way. And now I can show you what happened here. You can see it did not cut through, but rather it left two beautiful embossed ovals for me to stamp in. All right. So now that that part is done, next I'm going to set up my Stamp-A-Majig stamp positioning tool for my greeting. Now with my big bold image, I can pretty much line that up without seeing it, but when it comes to a greeting, I like it to be perfectly straight. I don't want to take any chances at all. And even with clear stamps, sometimes it's not perfectly straight. So if you use a Stamp-A-Majig card stamp positioner, it's really super easy. So I'm going to begin by setting up my plastic mat, and it's the textured side up, my plastic sheet, and then put my Stamp-A-Majig tool right in the corner so you have that right angle. Then using some Memento ink, I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I'm going to stamp it on top of the acetate sheet, the plastic sheet, by pressing the block right into that right angle of the tool and stamping. So now I have my greeting. Now I'll show you how that'll all work once we get to that part. Let me just clean the stamp off because I'm going to be using Versamark and not black, and I want a clean stamp. Okay. So now my next step is I'm going to emboss my images using gold on top of gold cardstock. So I'm going to use my anti-static pad to remove any static and oil from my fingers. And then using Versamark, I'll start with my bird image. This bird image is from the Stamp TV Holiday Cheer stamp set from our new Stamp TV kit. And I'm going to stamp that image right in the center of that oval. Now I like to do these one at a time so that there's no chance that my Versamark ink will dry before I get my embossing powder on there. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some embossing powder right over that bird and blow away the excess. Now can you see that he's on there in gold? Isn't that pretty? And then when I emboss it, it's going to get nice and shiny. Okay, let me just scoop that back in so I can do my positioner. Okay. Now for the next step, I'm going to position my words exactly where I want them. I can see right through that acetate sheet to make sure that my Merry Christmas is straight. And then I'm going to line up my tool again right on that right angle and remove the acetate sheet. Now, inking my stamp up with Versamark, I'm going to reposition that block right into that right angle and press straight down. And now I can be guaranteed that my words are exactly where I want them to be. And I'm going to add some embossing powder. And now you can see I have Merry Christmas right in the center of that oval, and it's perfectly straight. All right, put away this embossing powder, and using a heat tool, I'm going to heat up my embossed image. And you'll see, let me just close my Versamark pad so it doesn't dry out, and you'll see it'll turn nice and shiny, and it'll be more of a tone-on-tone look. It's a very, very soft and subtle look. Next, I'm going to take a piece of gold cardstock, and what I've done is I've cut it in half, and then I've scored it at 4 1/4 and folded it in half. Then, using my Glue Glider Pro Gun, I'm going to add some adhesive to the back here. And I'm going to mount this onto a piece of black cardstock. And here we've zoomed in for a close-up of the finished project. Try tone-on-tone embossing using other colors of metallic cardstock and embossing powder, or try embossing clear embossing powder over non-metallic cardstocks for another dramatic look.